It's time to jump into the luxury imports of Bowling Green, BMW, Mercedes, Sports Webb with your host, Brian Webb. Also starring Vegas Frank and Against the Odds, brought to you by JBK Network Consulting. Bowling Green Fireplace and Grill presents WKU Lady Tops golf coach and PGA teaching professional Adam Gary in Gary on the Green. It's The Good Fit with Jeremy Harris and Sports Webb baseball analyst Danny Hartong from First Step Orthotics. WKU Sports Analysis with Garrett Browning, plus the Culver's High School Player of the Week. And all phone interviews and guests appear via the Linux of Bowling Green Hotline. Now, from ESPNKY.com, here's your host, Brian Webb.
Out at Greenwood High School, one heck of a softball player. Sat down with her today. Brought to you by Culver's Butter Burgers, Scottsville Road. Welcome to delicious farm raised straight to the table. It's hard to get fast food. I guess you could call it fast food, but because it is fast. You go there and you get your order pretty quickly, but it tastes nothing like fast food. I mean, they've got so much of a smorgasbord of meals to choose from at Culver's. It's actually unbelievable when you think about it. But my favorite being the Atlantic cod. But hey, all kinds of great stuff. The butter burgers, they taste as good the first time that you eat them, all the way up to the 100,000th one that you have. I think I just got in the 100,000th club on Culver's Butter Burgers. But we want to thank Alex Grubbs. I sat down with her today, Garrett, and she was basically telling me she wasn't sure about what she was going to do as far as playing at the next level. Definitely has the opportunity to do so. But you know what? That's a big question in a lot of young people's minds is, how do I, what do I do? Do I go, with the school I want to go and get the education I want, or do I try this softball thing or this other sport that, I happen to be good at? And, that's a question that, if you're lucky enough, you get to be, pondering. So, good luck to Alex Scrubs out there, Greenwood High School. Great stuff, and appreciate Culver's right now on the Linex hotline. We've got him, the Limb, back by popular demand, and he loves baseball, all kinds, stickball even. He probably played a little stickball growing up. Uh-oh, Garrett had an earphone. Garrett,
man,
you have bad luck with headphones, bro.
It's not working well today, man.
Man, well, I guess we'll have to bring him on in. Lim, you with us?
I'm with you, fellas. What's going on, boys?
Hook, line, and sinker he is. Hey, man, listen, I know you're on the road. You got big things going on. I'm just glad we could get you on the Linex hotline. Talk a little Major League Baseball. Man, what's up?
Mercy.
What's going on?
I'll tell you what. I've been following. We're going to have another Sosa McGuire this year, home run chase with Yelich and Bellinger, because they both got 14 before the month of May, which is just an insane amount of home runs before the month of May, and it's heating up big time. And even when Yelich is out the next couple of days, he's got a bad back, but it's really fun to watch. And the pitching is just gone in the basket because there's no one really tearing it up except our boy out of Glasnow out of Tampa Bay there. He's a maniac, and I've been watching him a lot. But no, it's baseball's really heating up fun. You got really no surprises. Well, I kind of like that Minnesota team out of the AL Central, and they're leading. And Cleveland's just not producing this year, and I don't know what the problem is. They don't have much of an outfield, so they're not hitting the bat on the ball at all. But you got the Dodgers starting to heat up, and Houston's really tearing it up too. So it's going to be fun to watch for the next 3 months. So I just love it. I love it this time of year, man. It's I can't wait to go. We'll go down to Atlanta here in a few weeks and watch a weekend game. So, but yeah, it's fun to watch anymore, and it's getting to be the batter's eye anymore. That's tearing the cover off the ball because a lot of people are doing it.
I know those Seattle Mariners, they started off real hot out in the AL West, and I guess them and the Rays have kind of been those surprise leaders. Even the Twins you mentioned in the AL Central. Which of those three teams do you think has the best chance to kind of maintain that all the way through the summer into the fall?
I'm telling you right now, this Tampa Bay Ray team is so fun to watch. they play a lot of small ball. And they have one of the best pitching staffs there is in the AL East. Even more so than the Yankees or the Red Sox. But I think Minnesota's going to hang on. Seattle's starting to circle the drain a little bit more when getting back to where they should be. But right now, I heard a stat today that the Baltimore Orioles broke a record and have given up in the months of the end of March and April 83 home runs at pitching staff. And the closest one to them is like 52, and that's surprisingly the St. Louis Cardinals. But,
wow.
83 home runs.
That's hard to imagine.
Danny, who would you say right now, currently speaking? I mean, I know we're really early still, but you got to start thinking about this stuff. He goes, once you punch a game, it's done. You don't get it back. Who's kind of circling the wagons as far as they're inside the circle of the wagons who might let this thing get away from them to where they may have a really hard time getting back?
Well, right now, Baltimore should stop playing in July. They should. They're that bad. Boston better pick it up. I mean, they seem to get hot 2 games and then they drop 2 games. I mean, they lost 2 to Detroit last week, and that was just not good because they did go on a 3-game run, but they better hurry up because I tell you what, Tampa Bay goes up too much as soon as the Yankees get healthy. They're going to be hard to beat as well. But Boston better pick it up, and I'll tell you another one's Cleveland. They're just not producing it at all. And Twins are really playing some great baseball, and their pitching is pretty good. But the Cleveland bullpen is what's really costing them. And Clevenger going down, but the only one really producing there is Kluber, and Carrasco's not doing much there. And Cleveland better do something, otherwise they're going to be the outside looking in for the playoffs.
You were talking about Boston being up and down. I mean, they went on the road and swept the Rays in 3 games last week, and then this week, just a couple of days ago, I think they had a postponement on Friday, but then Saturday, Sunday, the Rays sweep them in 2 games. They kind of gave it right back at Fenway Park. And kind of speaking on the Red Sox, you mentioned the struggles with the pitching staff. Chris Sale has struggled. Syndergaard has struggled. DeGrom. There's been a number of aces this year that have struggled early. Have any of those surprised you more than the others? And is there one guy that's going to get out of the slump real quick?
Sale's the one that surprised me the most. His fastball's he's about 4 ticks below he was last year. He pitched on Saturday. I watched that game with the Tampa Bay Rays and against Glasnow, and his fastball topped out at 91, which last year it was 95 to 96. So I don't know what's going on with him. He gave up 4 quick runs in the first 2 innings, then didn't give up any. Mm-hmm. He struck out half a dozen, 6 or 7. But I have a sneaky feeling that it's either mechanics with him or he's injured. I mean, he may not be telling somebody, but when your fastball is 4 to 5 mile an hour slower than the previous year, there's something wrong. Yeah. And they soft tossed him during the preseason or during spring training because they went so deep into the year last year. But Alex Cora, the coach says that wasn't the issue because they did that the year before. So I don't know what's going on. But I think tell Syndergaard just try not to strike everybody out. Get some soft contact from these batters, and you'll last a lot longer. He's throwing 100 pitches, and he's only getting to 6 innings. So that's what a lot of these guys are doing. I mean, I call it the nuclear loose syndrome. Quit trying to strike everybody out. It's boring.
Yeah, like watching paint chip off. Hey, man, listen, real quick before we let you get out of here, we got Danny the Limb, Heart Tongue, First Step Orthotics, Prosthetics on the Line X hotline. One of our longtime sponsors we absolutely love, and we get the limb with that package, which is even better, baby. It's icing on the cake, sugar on top, whatever you call it. But hey, man, I wanted real quick, and Garrett and I would love to hear it both. Give us your take, maybe a couple of snippets, highlights out of the NFL draft, which you were at. I love it. Love it. G-Man's great with the tones. Hey, first of all, specifically, start with the Titans and, talk about Simmons and a few pickups. And I think, the offseason pickups made sense for these things to unfold for John Robertson. But I'd like to hear your guys' take on it. And tell us about the experience.
I'll tell you what, when we were down, I was so proud of the city of Nashville. They had 600,000 people for the 3 days down there, and it ran so well. We were on the General Jackson for a while, and we got bored looking at the back of the stadium, so we went up in front, baby, and it was a lot of fun. And Titans got a nice wide receiver out of Ole Miss, and they got a safety out of Iowa that's a big hitter that was actually from Norfolk, Nebraska, where I spent some time working up there, and I guess the kid's just one of the hardest hitters. He was Big Ten defensive back of the year, not last year, but the year before, and I guess the kid can really bring the wood, and it makes you see these guys, and that the kid out of Mississippi is a really good receiver. My son actually knows him from he's a Nashville kid, so
that's cool.
It'll be interesting to see how they fare on the Titans this year.
Man,
how Vrabel can round them.
How come Elvis didn't sing that song and make it "Oh, down to Norfolk, Nebraska"?
Good question.
I don't think Elvis knew Norfolk, Nebraska like that. I don't know.
Hey, that's the birthplace of Johnny Carson.
Oh, wow.
So maybe he did. Maybe not back then.
No, not that well.
But speaking on this Titans draft, man, I love that A.J. Brown pick because I honestly didn't think he would really fall that place in the second round. And I felt like he kind of got overlooked by a lot of people because DK Metcalf had the big combine workout. He had a really nice 40-yard dash and vertical leap and all that, and the shirtless picture that got put on social media looking, I think he had like 0.5% body fat or whatever's possible to still survive. But
his abs had abs.
But A.J. Brown was the most productive guy at Ole Miss, according to all the stats.
Yeah, my son Sam said the same thing. He said he's a player, and he couldn't believe it. It took him that long to get him, but I mean, he said that was it was probably their best pick of the draft.
See, I like to check on all the draft coverage after the draft and see what people are saying about the guys that we actually picked instead of like doing all these studies on guys that I'm never going to cheer for anyways. And I went back and I looked at all these pre-draft rankings, and a lot of people thought A.J. Brown was the best wide receiver in the draft. I think he was like the third or fourth wideout taken as well. So it seems like the Titans got some pretty good value picks. Even in the first round, Jeffrey Simmons, there's a lot of question marks about his injury. But if you look at the game film, I mean, the dude is a game wrecker. He is incredible on the defensive line. If he's going to be healthy next year, he could be a top 5, top 10 talent that the Titans kind of snuck away with.
I'm not second-guessing John Robinson ever. I'm not going to second-guess that man.
And I kind of have – I'd love to hear Danny's point on this because he would know much more than I would on the subject. But when it comes to ACL injuries, I feel like the therapy, the physical therapy, and just the way they try to restructure and rebuild, the ACL or the injury nowadays, it's a lot different than it was 10 to 15 years ago. You have a lot of guys that have that injury in the NFL and come back and still play at an all-pro level. Now, I know it can affect longevity, but what do you think about, just the ACL and how it's changed?
I personally think they bring them back just a little bit too quick. A year's time is usually the healing point after an ACL surgery, but I still think it takes 18 solid months for a person to, trust the knee. And that's another thing. They come off an injury that devastating, and it takes them a long time to get the trust back the way they were before that injury. And even with the bracing and everything else, it does. I'm a firm believer of at least an 18 months of rehab time on those.
And if you're
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, if you're questioning why I wondered Danny's opinion on that so much, it's because we're talking to Danny Hartung of First Step Prosthetics, the limb. He is probably a more viable source on ACL injuries than myself.
Viable. Danny, you there still, buddy? We lose you?
I just think it's a trust issue after a year. You know, they work out and they're running, but you know, but they're not cutting and stuff like that in like in game situations, and it's just, to me, it's more of a trust issue, and there's still that weak joint there. It does take a little while to heal. So,
well, I think it's not going to work out for the Titans. The main thing, guys, Garrett, Lim, Mariota's going to need to throw the ball and throw it a lot, and he's going to need to stay healthy.
Definitely.
That's always the key. Don't jinx it, Brian.
I know.
Please.
Garrett looked at me with this pale ghost look on his face. Danny the Limb, First Step, Orthotics Prosthetic. Thanks, buddy. Always a pleasure. Keep your eyes on the road. Thanks for doing it on the Line-X hotline today.
My friend, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it, boys.
Always a pleasure. See you next Tuesday. We'll be right back on the Sports Web. Garrett and I will rap a little bit about Stansbury getting the Brady bunch. I mean, we've got more players than we know what to do with, Garrett. And we'll talk a little bit of NBA action, too, before Vegas Frank and then Gary on the Green later on. So don't go anywhere. Lots left on the Sports Web. April 30th, 2019, ESPN 1027.
Attention HVAC technicians. Do you like to get your hands dirty? Don't mind working in the elements? Are you happy with your current team environment? Want to expand your knowledge of the industry, but only get to work in one aspect? Well, you're in luck. Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating, and Cooling is looking to add to their team. If you have the desire to learn and work hands-on in refrigeration, hot side, commercial, and residential heating and cooling, or you just like to work somewhere that will respect you as much as you respect yourself, then make the call to Bowling Green Refrigeration at 270-782-5391 and ask for Chris Cowles or Brad Thomas. Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating, and Cooling are looking for the right people to add to their team. Apply in person at 130 Vanderbilt Court in Bowling Green. Come see the difference while continuing your HVAC career and learn how to expand on the knowledge you already have. Bowling Green Refrigeration, Heating, and Cooling, with more than 25 years of keeping Southern Kentucky comfortable. An equal opportunity employer.
Man, what happened to your truck?
Well, got myself a prize 10-point buck, and well, you can see where it was laying.
Nice bloodstain, dude. You should have seen Line-X of Bowling Green for a spray-in liner.
For whatever you get into, trust Line-X of Bowling Green with the largest auto aftermarket franchise in the nation. Pro installation of spray and bed liners, B&W gooseneck hitches, vent visors, bug shields, step bars, running boards, toolboxes, and WeatherTech floor mats. Line-X at BowlingGreen.com. Stop by 3351 Louisville Road at the Porter Pike and Plum Spring intersection.
Yeah. Cruise by G-Man. I like it. Did you make that cut? Is that your riff?
Yeah, I totally just whipped this up on GarageBand. No big deal.
You need a GarageBand, dude. Why not, man? I can see it. What would your name be?
GarageBand, it's like an app on your Mac. You can like make music out of it.
But
But I would also have a GarageBand if you want me to.
Well, I mean, my age guy, we just know GarageBand as the doors cracked a little bit on the bottom for some airflow. You got the drums, keeping beat and time. You got the 6-string.
My mom used to
humming.
get mad when I would just pat my fingers like a drum on the table, so I don't think I was allowed to.
You would have been kicked out then if there
I
would have
did
been.
own a trumpet for a little, though. That's probably even worse. I couldn't do the bugle. I think that's a bugle, too, right?
It might be a bugle. You're right. Man, you're so technical.
I'm just saying.
Goodness gracious.
You got to get it right.
Party,
it's the
dude.
Kentucky Derby.
It is the Kentucky Derby. And you know what? I really haven't had 1 second to look at it because, man, we had the best fishing for mentors we've ever had Saturday.
Yeah, you had some great photos I saw posted on Facebook.
I got to share one story with you, and you know, everybody out there. I know. You listen. If you listen to the Outdoor Show, you're going to get this again tomorrow. But we had a young 3-year-old kid, man, catch a 2.9 pound crappie on a Snoopy bow rod. You've seen them in the plastic things at the grocery store.
Now, you know what's funny is when you say a Snoopy rod, is that because there's like it's decorated with Snoopies on it?
Definitely is.
Oh, now that's cool. Okay. I was just making sure. Are you joking with me?
I
here?
am straight serious.
Okay.
Man.
See, I thought like Snoopy rod was just like some like weakling rod, not decorated with Snoopies. It was just like a technical term for something. So I'm glad to know that I actually got that right, that it was decorated with Snoopies.
Let me break it down to you like this, Garrett. The chances of that happening are greater than the Baltimore Orioles winning the pennant and the World Series.
The Super Bowl.
Wait a minute, that's even better. My Freudian slip is even better. Winning the Super Bowl. That's exactly how hard that is to believe, man. Stansbury, he is out there on the warpath, isn't he?
Oh, man, yeah, it's been a busy summer. It always is for Rick and the guys. And I think the latest news about Charles Bassey, I think there may have been some news that he wasn't invited to the Combine as of yet, but I think he could come in as a late participant with injuries or whatever if people didn't want to show up for whatever reason. Still trying to test the waters, but, man, even if Bassey does go pro, whether it be in the NBA or overseas, it is a very deep roster on paper. I will say that's the same thing we said last summer, and it didn't pan out as well when it came to January or December. It almost did, but I think the depth was I did it included. It was just a little overstated, and guys like Delano Banton that had one or two good games all of a sudden couldn't really produce anything February or March. But I will say some of the guys that Stansbury's brought on the roster now kind of remind me of the grad transfers with Darius Thompson and Dwight Colby, guys that could step in and immediately produce.
Yes.
Cameron Justice,
I like that.
Kentucky kid.
What is that, Indiana? Purdue,
I actually
something?
cheered against him in high school because my senior year, Bowling Green High played Knox County Central in the state tournament. Purple's won, by the way. Boom. Just throwing that out there.
Boom, Purple Pride.
Cameron Justice couldn't get it done back then, but he's going to get it done for the Tops. Don't worry. He was a pure shooter at Ooey Pooey. I'm never going to call him IUPUI.
I like Ooey Pooey.
It's Ooey Pooey.
I like that.
Indiana University,
Ooey
Purdue
Pooey!
University, Indianapolis.
Ooey Pooey. Ooey Pooey.
66% of his field goal attempts were three-pointers, so he is a pure shooter. That's kind of what the Tops need, is somebody to stretch the defense.
Let's get it straight. Omar, nothing against him. Omar, he's just not really done it. Jake, he just really hasn't.
It's been tough for him to really step into a full-time role like that. He's had to be a guy off the bench that has to come in and shoot, and sometimes that can be a really hard role. You're cold, and all of a sudden you get thrown in, and it's like, hey, go knock down some three-pointers for us. It's not an easy role to be put into, especially when in high school he was the main point guard. I forget what high school he went to now, but state tournament he was averaging 30 points a game for his team.
He's from Scott County.
Yeah, that is correct. And now he's kind of put into
a
different role.
Where like a million athletes are from. I don't get that.
That is true. I still think he's got a role on the team for the Hilltoppers. Sure. It's just putting all the pieces together. On paper, it looks great, but hey, you cannot crown a team too early. I think we kind of learned our lesson last year with those Tops we crowned.
And I'm probably going to do it again when I see the first
absolutely.
practice.
Midnight Madness? Well, it's not Midnight Madness anymore.
Hilltopper hysteria.
When it hits, I'll be hyping myself up too much. Dude, Nick Ojenda, he can jump over the backboard. Jared Savage is going to be splashing threes.
He's savage. Hey, real quick, man, before we get a break here and toss it to Vegas Frank and Gary on the green. We talked a little bit about the NFL draft. First of all, thank you, Buffalo Wild Wings, dude. What a blast we had. I mean, that was 4 hours of just like holy smoke,
big blast, and wasn't the most exciting draft per se, especially compared to last year with all the quarterbacks. Yeah, well, that's true. But, man, we got to shout out Josh Allen, Kentucky kid. UK started as 2-star recruit, now a top 10 pick. Awesome. But I will never cheer for him as long as he wears the Jags uniform. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. No. Congrats. But that's it.
Jags gonna be, watch out, man.
Saxonville
Erica
trying to make their way back.
Commenting in about that. She's all over it. I mean, that's exactly what's going to happen. You got Nick Foles down there. I mean, come on. Dude.
Kept Leonard Fournette after maybe a rocky offseason start.
You never know about Fournette.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He steps on the sideline and hits the white chalk and turns an ankle or something. I don't know about that guy. I mean, he's great, and I'm sure he's still great. But I mean,
have you ever seen the bench warmers with the ACL tear?
Yeah.
I don't think he's that. Or it's a seal tear. It's a seal tear, but they all call him ACL tear because they can't pronounce his name.
He's not that bad yet.
No, he's not.
Yet. We'll see, though. No, some great pickups in the offseason. But real quick, who we got tonight? We got some games. We'll talk to Frank about it later. He'll give us. But who you liking coming out of these semifinals in the NBA?
You know,
Nuggets look good.
I was pretty big on those Raptors, but then the Sixers came back last night and had a huge performance on the road.
Without a lot of help from Embiid.
Well, Embiid was evidently sick from what we heard.
Every game. He's got an ailment.
Gastric distress.
It means he went to a really bad taco place.
Yeah, how do you text your coach that in the morning? You're just like, Coach, I got gastric distress.
Text him a picture of your bathroom.
No, please no. Celtics Bucks tonight, 7. Rockets Warriors, 9:30. Man, that Rockets Warriors series.
I hope I can set up that late because I passed out last night in the Nuggets game.
Well, that's the Nuggets Spurs. I think you could survive for Warriors Rockets. But, man, that was the talk of the town after game 1 was the Warriors getting all the calls and the Rockets not getting any calls. I'm just going to get on my soapbox here. James Harden is probably the best offensive player in the league. The best offensive player in the league. But when
he plays when you don't play any defense, though.
Well, and he's actually gotten better defensively. He still doesn't play a lot, but he's gotten a little better.
Take your word for it, G-Man.
But as far as complaining about the officials, I mean, it's just total hypocrisy. This dude, literally half of his game is based on getting to the foul line 15 times a game and tricking officials into calling fouls where there aren't fouls. And then you get upset when you get to the playoffs and all of a sudden it's a close call and you don't get the call. Well, that's what you get for catering your whole entire offensive game around trying to get the call from officials. Is it's going to go your way sometimes, and then all of a sudden you're not going to get that call, and it ruins the rest of your offense. And I just Chris Paul does the same thing, man. They complain more than anybody in the NBA. It's crazy.
They are like 3 o'clock in the afternoon at a daycare.
That's the one thing that I can't. I hate watching more than anything else. I love watching the basketball between the Rockets and the Warriors.
It's good.
But just the drama on the court, Iggy, Draymond, Chris Paul, they're all a bunch of crybabies. They're the worst.
You know it's
the
gonna
two
go,
worst teams.
It's going to go game 6, and guess what? That press conference, I'm going to tape it.
Next question.
Taping it. Next question. I love it. Our own young Dan Lebitard here, Garrett Browning. The old man.
I got to flatten the hat bill out.
Yeah, you need to. I went full Levitard for you at
it's
Buffalo
Tampa
Wild
Bay,
Wings.
though.
Yeah, I didn't like it. That's a good looking hat, dude. We should put that on Twitter.
I wore it for Danny, and he didn't even show up.
Well, looky there. I mean, we'll get him next week and wear it again. But I want to say thanks for hanging out with me and G-Man. Great to have the limb on. Stick around for Vegas Frank and Gary on the Green, and then we're going to take you right to WKU baseball takes on the Redbird Cardinals up there of U of L. Don't go anywhere. Stick around the Sports Web, ESPN 1027.
Hello, Vegas. Give me $100 on red.
Joe! $200 in chips, please.
Are you a professional?
What's your bet, sir? Bet. Hit me.
It's a bust.
Whoa! I am on fire.
Oh, he's good. He's good.
You're a winner!
Against the Odds with Vegas Frank is brought to you by JBK Network Consulting. JBK Network Consulting. We are IP everything. Working with complex organizations to achieve measurable business outcomes is what we do. Let Jim Grant and JBK Network Consulting go to work for you. Call 270-796-8935. Visit JBK Network Consulting at 1143 Fairway Place, Suite 105, and online at jbk.net.
You heard it right there, folks. Time for Against the Odds with none other than Vegas Frank, all the way out sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. We got him on the Line X hotline. Line X Bedliners. Roger Gina, get over there to Louisville Road, Porter Pike. Check it out. Check them out. Nobody does it better. I've got a bunch of buddies that have been over there in the last 2 weeks getting Bedliners. You got to love it. Frank, what's up, man?
I'm doing good. I'm just recovering from the weekend. We had Avengers, we had Game of Thrones, we had the draft. I mean, I don't think I'm like emotional. I'm sad. I'm excited. I don't know. I'm worn out. I mean, I feel like I lost years off my life.
Well, you got plenty to go. You could spare a few. Those years that you lost are just the ones where you're like looking at your Social Security check thinking, am I going to be able to hit the sports book this week or not? You got to wait on that mailbox money when you get old. So who cares about those years? Hey, man, let's talk a little bit about, first of all, we had a monstrously huge, successful draft party at Buffalo Wild Wings there on Scottsville Road Thursday night. I mean, I have never in my life done 4 straight hours of radio, and I was running out of things to say, Frank, and you know me well, and that's pretty hard to do unless I've got a muzzle on my mouth.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you guys had a good time. I mean, I'm sure you got to talk to a lot of people. What were some of the reactions from some takeaways over there? Like, what were you guys thinking as far as what you saw for the first round?
Well, I mean, there was some disgust. I saw some disgust, and then I saw some surprisedness in the crowd, and then we had some hecklers, which was always fun. Towards the end there, about the hour 4, we started getting hecklers, and they weren't heckling us, they were just heckling the draft. And I think the funniest takeaway that I took from it was when Goodell came out and got the chest pump, and it looked like he almost went down or broke a rib, and so we kept saying that every time he comes out to call the next pick, he's going to be having some new ailment like a black eye, ear patch. We went arm sling, made it down to full body cast. My last one was gurney, and Bratcher came up with cryogenically frozen head and a fishbowl at the end. So he went through the whole gamut of injury there. Only Goodell could get, but we booed him live just for tradition's sake. I mean, I'm not that worried about it. The NFL looks like it's shaping up good, man. I was pretty pleased with the draft overall. I mean, I still don't understand the Rosen trade, but I mean that's just me. I'm probably way off. They probably did the right thing. I don't know. But no big surprises. I mean, I think the Titans pick was, uncertainty from some Titans fans, but I think that's kind of worked itself out with Simmons, the way he's been handling it. It seems like the guy, is appreciative of his chance, his shot. There was a lot of people on the board, though, Frank, when they took him. So I'm not going to second guess John Robinson, though.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, they evaluate talent. They see, everybody else. So you don't evaluate talent. You look at what your need is. I thought they were going to go tight end or wide receiver at that pick. Obviously, they evaluated Simmons higher than a lot of other people had seen him. So, I mean, you take the player that you like. They were all in agreement. It wasn't like a one guy, makes the decision and says, this is who we're taking. So the thing that kind of stinks about it is that, you're not going to get to see Simmons for a year because he won't be able to play next year because of the injury. He won't be recovered. More than likely, he won't be playing at all next season. That's kind of like the downfall. So you're not going to really review this draft class 100% until 2 years down the line. But, I mean, adding a guy like A.J. Brown, the playmaker, the receiver that they did pick up 51st overall from Ole Miss, I like that guy a lot. And then, Hooker, the safety that they got later on in the draft, who a lot of people evaluated higher. I think they got really good value out of that pick. So these are guys that can contribute right away. So I think that they overall, I think they did pretty well. So the Simmons verdict will be out, and then we'll see how it shapes up, in probably another year. Because, again, he's not going to be able to play next year.
Frank, you should refrain from using the name Hooker in Las Vegas because a lot of people think that's legal in the city limits. It is not.
It's not, and I'm referring to Amani Hooker, not anything else.
Way to clarify there, because we don't want any violations. But no, that is not. You have to go outside the city limits of Las Vegas, Nevada, and that would be Prim or Prump. Would be a good start there. Hey, man, I tell you, let's we'll put a bow on the draft. We'll be talking NFL in the coming weeks. For sure, closer we get to preseason football. But overall, Nashville, what a stage, man. I mean, that place, I laugh at the people. I mumble under my breath when I hear some of these radio guys, the NFL's all, they're struggling. The NFL is struggling. I don't think so, man. Do you?
No, I mean, I don't think they know what they're talking about when they say that. It's the ratings are always solid. Preseason football usually outdraws other sports as far as ratings go. We'll probably mention in a second or two about NBA ratings, but the NFL ratings are always right there. It's just they own a day of the week. I mean, it's for 17 weeks or, around 20 weeks, they own a day of the week. So you can't really say that, they're not a power. They keep paying more and more money for these TV deals. It's ridiculous. I think the NFL is fine. I think they're doing fine. I'm not worried.
Yeah, I'm right here with you. We're going to switch gears, listen to Vegas Frank against the odds, Las Vegas, Nevada, JBK Network Consulting. Hey, listen, man, I wanted to jump into the West semis, the East semis. I mean, we got teams like the Celtics who looked brand new the other night against a solid Bucks team, pretty much shut down Giannis a little bit there. And then you're talking about some other great games. My favorite matchup being the Rockets-Warriors series there in the West semis. And then, we got the other games as well. You can't rule out Philly. Toronto's a great team, but Philly showed up even without a big showing from Joel Embiid, who is like game-time decision every week. The other West semis, you got those Trailblazers, who are a great team. Man, the Nuggets at home just took it over, and I fell asleep. I watched that first game last night. I guess it was Philly. I watched the Philly game and then fell asleep during the Nuggets game. Wished I hadn't have, but guys went off in that one. Man, I tell you, in your words, who probably loves the NBA more than anybody I know, what do you think? How's this shaping up, man? And let's before we get out of the NBA, let's make our picks on these semifinals.
Well, yeah, I mean, as far as the Nuggets go, this has been a really special year for them because they're able to kind of right a lot of wrongs. They played really solid. Jokic has finally found his place. I think he's finally kind of found a home. Been a professional basketball player since the age of 16. In his fourth year in the league, kind of having some instability, but now it seems like he's really starting to set up roots with Denver. And you can't forget about Jamal Murray. They've got a lot of guys that have kind of come up together. On one side, the reward of you being kind of unsuccessful in drafting higher in the draft for consecutive years is that you end up with pretty good players eventually. And this roster has been built up over the years. It's really a lot of homegrown talent. Denver is going to be a power, and I think they're going to be a power for years to come. I think ultimately they are going to have a slight edge over Portland. Portland's going to have to I think, win this next game in order to win the series. I really like Denver, like the way they play.
Yeah, no question about it, Frank. Just looked unbelievable at home last night. But these Trailblazers, they're equally a good team, and I feel like I don't think it's going to be any kind of a sweep by any stretch. Do you?
No, not at all. No, I think this is going to go 6 or 7 games. It's going to be a battle. I think all the series, are going to go back and forth. They're pretty well matched. I'd say with every series. We think, because the way the Celtics looked, at Game 1, that's going to carry over to Game 2, and that doesn't necessarily end up being the case. I think you're going to get a way better effort from Milwaukee tonight. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think all these series are going to be battles. All the series are going to go 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, that game tonight, Tatum. He looked okay the other night, but I tell you, Al Horford, man, golly, the old steady veteran looking great for the Celtics the other night. That game's at 7 p.m. You can catch it on TNT. Man, I tell you, I think Milwaukee's actually 7.5-point favorites tonight. That's a tough one right there. I don't know where I would be if I was at the window last second. I would probably take the dog in that. I would probably take the Celtics in that one, wouldn't you?
I would lean Celtics. I would lean Celtics, especially for the first half, just because I think that Milwaukee is still going to figure some things out. But, for the game, I like Milwaukee to win tonight. I don't know about the 7.5.
Yeah, that's
but
tough.
I do like them to win tonight.
Yeah, that's really, really tough. Well, my favorite series, obviously alluded to earlier, the Rockets and the Golden State Maniac Warriors with KD that looks like he's 25 out there. Unbelievable, with injury. Klay Thompson got a banged-up ankle. They're a little banged up. They look human this year, but I still don't know if Harden and the Rockets have, with Clint Capella and a few other guys, I don't know if they've got what it takes to do this thing, man. They're going to win a game or two, but tonight Golden State -5.5. Also catch that on TNT, 9:30 p.m. Central.
Yeah, the Warriors when the Warriors are playing their best, I sound like a broken record. When they're playing at their top level, they're better than everybody else. Like you mentioned, they are a little banged up, and it's kind of made them look almost human. The Warriors are a much better team, and if they're able to execute, then they should win this game tonight, and ultimately the series. I think Houston has got to respond by they missed a lot of threes, and they kind of like live by the three, die by the three.
Yeah.
I think maybe approaching it with an inside out type of thing. Going in a little bit more on a Draymond, it's that presence in the interior, which makes the second round, the conference finals potentially a much more interesting matchup for me, like with the Nuggets or the Blazers, because both of their big men have such good footwork. I think that they would match up really well on the inside with the Warriors in both cases. If it's the Blazers or the Nuggets, I think they'd match up really well with the Warriors going forward. But I think the Warriors have too much. I think ultimately the Warriors are gonna win this series. In how many games? I don't know. I'm going to say 6, but the Warriors are going to win this series.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know that it won't go to a Game 7, but it all really depends on the Rockets maybe trying to get one, still one away up in that part of the country at home court. But listen, let's move on. First of all, I think James Harden he's lost a step, and he's just kind of turning into a whiner.
Yeah, a little bit. You heard him in the press conference afterwards about saying that he just wants a fair shot. It's like, James, you're getting free throw attempts for people making eye contact with you. Like, what are you talking about as far as getting a fair shot? Like, how are you being mistreated? Exactly. You shoot more free throws than anyone. He's pretending to get his throat hit or whatever.
I saw
the video
that.
of it.
Yeah.
He's like throwing his head back, looking like he got shot or something.
What was that?
Like, come on, man.
I mean,
I don't know what to say. I just laughed. I heard him say, I just want a fair shot. I'm like, I don't
know, James. I think you get plenty of fair shots, man. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I think he's just warming up for a lot of tears in Game 6, like you're saying, Frank, that he's going to be crying about it a little bit. But, Capella needs to step up a little. There's some guys around him that do need to step up a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen this team, like, everybody give 110 the same night yet. And that's, you can only blame yourself or your coach or, whatever when it comes. You gotta look in the mirror a little bit, James. I mean, But anyways, let's move on. What else is going on? We got football out of the way. We got NBA out of the way. Well, you got a little bit of tidbit that we missed. Tell me what's going on with Tyreek Hill. Can the Kansas City Chiefs, weather another storm of losing an ace? I mean, this is it's getting to be a pattern.
Well, yeah, it is getting to be a pattern. It's looking as if Tyreek Hill is going to be suspended by either the league or the team. The team has not officially suspended him yet, as of yet, but it looks like the league is going to suspend him for domestic assault charges. That issue involving a kid is one of his children, I believe, and the girlfriend, the mother of the child, has recorded him basically saying that he did that. It's not a good look. This is a team that is kind of been able to put up like fireworks type numbers or video game type numbers the last few years. Towards the end of the season last year, they lose Kareem Hunt, and now losing Tyreek Hill. You wonder what these numbers are going to look like going forward for this team that looked like, they were right on the brink, a play away essentially of playing, representing the AFC in the Super Bowl last year. So we'll see.
Man, I tell you what, and you got to hate the Chiefs fans are going to be hating that because literally intact, let's say they had Kareem Hunt still intact. I don't know if anybody could beat that team with the defense coming along and, just make sure you don't take Tyreek Hill in your fantasy draft first or last.
Yes, please pay attention to that. And, the Kansas City just keeps asking for trouble because they traded for Frank Clark. That guy's got domestic abuse charges, too.
Oh, man.
So they got to figure out their lives here. They got to, I don't know, they need to come to Jesus meeting or something. I don't know what's going on.
Hallelujah! Who knows, man? Well, a lot of other news out there. I don't know that we can touch on it all. My last question to you was, how do you feel about the officiating in the NBA playoffs this year? There's been some bad calls, but there's also been some good calls. I don't know. How do you judge it, or how do you rate it as a bettor?
Well, we're always trying to just look at consistency. So, I mean, you see certain trends with certain teams when they're playing at home as opposed to the road. And I mean, does look like there is some favoritism in the situation with like the Warriors in particular, that sometimes they do get some more favorable calls because they're playing at home. But I think it's that crowd, man. That crowd is ridiculous, and I think that they motivate. They can kind of sway things in the direction of the Warriors. So you've got to look at trends with certain referees. That they used to always say that there were officials that hated certain players. I don't really think that goes on as much anymore, but they've tried to implement some replay stuff, and they try to review it. They try to get as consistent as they can, but, you just go back to Sunday, the officials said that they missed 2 or 3 calls at the end of the Warriors and Rockets game. It's a 4-point game. So, I mean, anything could have happened. As bad as the Rockets looked on Sunday, they only lost by 4 points. And you have all these issues at the end of the game that kind of make you shrug your shoulders like, well, if this had gone this way or that way, it's a make-or-miss league. So we'll see.
Yeah, I heard some disgust about the no foul shots the other night, and there being a 3-point game. I mean, I kind of agree with those fans on that one. But I mean, you never know, man. You shouldn't put yourself in that position anyways. Late in the fourth, you should be pulling away. You should be getting fouled. You shouldn't have to be giving fouls. But I don't know, Frank. Anything you want to leave us? A tidbit of Vegas Frank nugget, if you will. A BG. Refrigeration, hot or cold. I mean, give us some little tidbit. We love to hear Vegas Frank's inner thoughts.
Well, I really wanted to say really quickly, back to the draft. I really like what the Redskins did, taking Haskins, the quarterback Haskins, out of Ohio State with a chip on his shoulder. He grew up 30 minutes from Washington D.C., from downtown Washington D.C. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He's motivated. I like what the Redskins did with their draft overall. And I can't wait to see this guy next year with this team. I think that he's motivated, and he's my early pick for Rookie of the Year.
Well, we're motivated and excited about coming back and seeing you next Tuesday on the Sports Web. Frank, appreciate you, man, out there in Las Vegas.
Good talking to you.
Be right back. ESPN 102.7.
You're playing golf, and you're going to like it.
Time to go home there, boss. I can make it across. Well, then do it.
We got all of that.
Why didn't you just go home? That's your home. Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
Knock it on. Let her rip.
It's in the hole. By the way, what did Mr. Webb shoot this morning?
It's time for Gary on the Green. Gary on the Green is brought to you by Bowling Green Fireplace and Grill on Old Louisville Road and online at bowlinggreenfireplace.com. Call 270-495-1131.
Gary on the Green on the Line X hotline. Coach Adam Gary, Lady Tops Golf. What's going on, man?
Not much. Just trying to finish up the semester. Girls have finals next week, and then off to the recruiting trail this summer trying to do a little scouting.
Never ends, does it, Coach?
No, it doesn't. It's starting earlier and earlier.
We're just getting older, buddy.
Well, that's true. It makes me feel bad that I'm recruiting players that were born in like 2002, 2003 right now.
Oh, my goodness. This doesn't seem that long ago. I was in the middle of Las Vegas doing my thing right there. That was a great time in my life. Man, I'll tell you, first of all, we won't talk too much about the Zurich, but we've got Wells Fargo. I might make a pick on that one coming up. And then wanted to touch base with you. You kind of give us a good rundown maybe of the season for the Lady Tops.
Yeah, so finished up the season. We didn't get a bid into the Nationals or regional NCAA tournament. We pretty much had to win conference to do that. But I was proud of the team for shooting the second lowest score in school history and achieving their highest ranking in school history. Mary Joyner obviously had 2 wins and was an all-conference selection. Megan Clark didn't get on the all-conference team, but still, I mean, awesome grade point average and had a win in the fall too. So having 3 individual wins, I think is a nice way to kind of wrap up the season on a high note. And the beautiful thing is we're not losing anybody, so everybody's back next year.
Man, I tell you, hats off to the ladies and yourself for another great Conference USA showing. And you got some great players, and that just starting to see the fruits of your labor, Coach, on this recruiting that you're just getting so good. You're like the Stansberry of Lady Golf.
Yes, I know. I wish I was as good a recruiter as he is. But, I've been watching Twitter. He's got some got some good news coming out on the basketball front this fall too. So
it almost seems like we've got like too many players. It's like, well, how many? Golly, they're coming from every angle. I love it. Let's pay homage to our buddy John Mullendore, who was part of the. I don't know. I need to give you guys a name. Back in the day, you, Kirby, Mullendore, McGill. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to call you the Brat Pack or the Rat Pack, but it's some kind of pack. The Birdie Pack, maybe. I don't know. You guys were so great, and I got to watch you grow up. And here we got to see Molly do his thing, and we'll throw a shout-out to him out there, head pro at Indian Hills.
Yeah, that's right. That was a big-time tournament getting to play in. I'm sure it had a PGA Tour feel to it. The top 20 made it into the major, into the PGA Championship. So being at the national finals, and then obviously the PGA is going to put on a great tournament. So that was an awesome experience for Molly to be able to go down to South Carolina and play a top-notch golf course and obviously some of the best competition in the country. So, yeah, hats off for him. Good experience. That was a good way to represent the state of Kentucky, and I'm sure he'll be back again.
I would have been representing the Sports Webb Sunday at Willow Oaks Golf Club, but I had a crazy week and a huge event Saturday, and honestly I had a wedding Saturday night. I just didn't feel like playing. But it kind of brings me to my golf tip, and we're going to talk to the amateur tournament player who is, trying to make it. Let's say you got a 2-day. Let's say it's the Pickens, and you've got a 2-day, and you're not in the lead, but you're 2 shots off the lead with a pretty good showing, and think, I've got a shot at this. Give us some, and this will play along with, the girls before they have their second round after a good round. Maybe you're in second or third, your lead. Something like that. When you have a shot at the top to be there on Sunday or whatever day the tournament's culminating, before you go to bed, what's a good regimen for a guy or a gal that's in that position? What would you tell somebody the night before? How to handle that, how to sleep on it, and how early to get up, that sort of thing.
Right. I'm a big believer in keeping the routine. Whatever you always do, you need to just kind of stick with your plan, even all the way in through your course management. If it's the right play or the right club, then it's the right play no matter if you've got the lead or you're 2 down. Just got to play the percentages. I see too often that emotions get involved and you feel like I'm behind and I've got to catch up. I have to make a birdie here, and then expectations change. Or even if you, like you said, if you're sitting on the lead or had a really good round the day before, you're thinking to yourself, well, at this point yesterday I was under par, now I'm over par. So it's something that you've got to really make sure that you monitor. It's really easy to get ahead of yourself, but if you can kind of keep doing the same routine, get to the golf course the same amount of time early, get the same amount of sleep. As far as like things that I do with the team is really important to hydrate the night before. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water, getting a good night's sleep. That goes a long way, just so your mental focus is going to be strong the next day.
You heard it right there, folks. That's some great tip there to the amateur player who is out there grinding, and you did that for a long time, Adam. You know as well as anybody what the grind is like. Local tournaments and national tournaments. I mean, you've done it all, and it's pretty good to hear that kind of stuff. And good luck to you, and good luck on the recruiting trail, my man. The only tip I can give on that is don't wear slick socks on a very nicely polished staircase.
Perfect. I'll keep that in mind.
Gary.
Need to be Dustin Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. Big DJ. I know. I got to poke fun at it. That's just still cracks me up. It's sad, but it cracks me up. Man, always a pleasure. Brought to you by Bowling Green Fireplace and Grill. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having me.
Be back next week with Adam Gary. Thanks for listening to the Sports Web, ESPN 102.7. How about some WKU baseball?